This is our final case study on the National Honor Society. I'm Nathan Andreezy.
I'm Tyler Molnar.
And I'm Mara Mukai.
All right, so we're going to talk about the personalized learning theory. We have a few quotes here. The first one comes from Posse Selberg. We need to rethink schools so that learning relies more on custom and individual learning plans and less teaching drawn from a standard curriculum. Berliner and Glass. Online schools at a majority polled favor high school students by earning these credits online. And then from Jules on Schools, schools representing all types of delivery would be trying to find the best practices in teacher development, pre-service training programs, and year-round accountability. A couple successes about this is personalized learning model is a great way for students to actively learn. It's a student-centered classroom where appropriate goals are set for each student for the year. Flipped courses, competency-based education, and online hybrid classes are changing the way we think about learning. Combining new learning models with digital courseware, integrated planning, advising for student success, and analytics can create a learning ecosystem that tailors support to individual students. And then a few struggles about this is in most classroom settings, students are expected to learn the material at the same time and in the same way. Many find themselves ahead or behind others, and learning outcomes suffer. And particularly students who need extra time to master the material. And then how this concept works is students get a sense of that the teacher cares if the teaching approach makes sense to the students. And then our overall recommended approach is students should aim to connect to the students to make it a more one-on-one experience.
So, for our second theme that we researched, we found how the National Honor Society encourages moral commitment. So, for our quotes from our course books, in Berliner and Glass, quote, "Perhaps we ought to take greater responsibility for creating a better, more equitable world in which they can learn and grow and develop the strength and character that all wish for." And that was from the book 50 Myths and Lies in American Schools. In our second book, Jules in Schools, Julia Williams states, "Successful schools stand in great contrast to mediocre and low-performing schools where faculty work apart from each other without a common purpose and with self-centered beliefs that they are doing the best that they can." And in our last book, from Posse Solberg, "Cultivating trust, enhancing autonomy, and tolerating diversity are just the few examples of the reform examples found in Finnish schools today." So after looking at that, we found these successes and struggles. So first on the successes, we found that the National Honor Society promotes leadership development, motivation, and inspiration. Another thing we found are that service projects, which are a big thing in the National Honor Society, allow you to build teamwork capabilities, improve project management skill, and make friends. And with that comes struggles. So we found that not all NHS chapters are equally active for personal impact, and you might find yourself frustrated with the lack of networking from a lack of an active chapter. So after looking at that, we found how moral commitment affects students. We found that generally students learning moral commitment results in the better use of behavior and ethics, which is a positive thing. The recommended approach to teaching these students moral commitment is to promote volunteering and building good and productive habits. And then the citations were from the Buckeyes blog, "Why You Should and Should Not Join an Honor Society." To add on to the topic of moral commitment, I have done many things related to this topic when I was younger. A big part of NHS is volunteering, which can help add positive traits to anyone's life. Although I wasn't in NHS, I still volunteered when I was younger with my church and with baseball, so there are other alternatives to the NHS. And in doing so with this, it definitely helped my personality and growth as a person.
Okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about is how the National Honor Society can help with standardized testing. So a couple quotes from our books from class. The first one is from Jules on Schools, and it talks about how schools representing all types of delivery would be trying to find the best practices in teacher development, pre-service training programs, and year-round accountability. The second one is from Salberg. Consequences of the high-stakes testing environment include avoidance and risk-taking, increased boredom, and fear. And then the last one is from Berliner and Glass. High-stakes tests are known to narrow the curriculum in many schools and foster what has come to known as the drill and kill test preparation. So then we're going to talk about the success and struggles. Successes of the National Honor Society offers incentives for doing well on testing, sets high standards for students wanting to succeed, and can be inconclusive and non-discriminatory. Some struggles is that it only measures a small portion of what makes education meaningful, and it's unreliable for measuring students' performance. And then the last one, it causes severe stress. And then we are going to talk about how standardized testing affects students. So we just talked about how it can have high levels of stress and anxiety on the students, along with other things like sports and extracurricular activities. So then we said that the recommended approach would be to use in moderation. So, and then our citation is from Following Policies in the National Honor Society. Thanks for watching.